So there is generally a lot of attention given to when girls feel humiliated after a hookup, but I would like to hear from my fellow guys. My most humiliating experience was when I made it as far as getting on a girl's bed, but she thought I had abs because I'm fit. I used to be obese, so I do have loose skin on my stomach, and she didn't like that. It was pretty humiliating taking off my shirt and then just seeing her interest die in her eyes. I later cried in my dorm afterward. Anyways, what are your stories, guys? Story 1, my first kiss. I stopped the car in front of her house and leaned over to kiss her. I realized the car was moving, and we slammed into the back of her dad's truck, causing her head to hit the dash hard. She had to get stitches, and I got it bad from her dad. Should have parked. Story 2, I was on a date. We started kissing, and it got hot, so we went to my car. We were making out, and I started to grab her breasts when she began crying, like bawling crying. I stopped and pulled away, and she stopped crying and said, "Why did you stop?" and put my hand back on her breast and tried to start kissing me. Sure enough, after a few more kisses, she started crying again. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, "Nothing." So I stopped right there and ended the date. I never saw her again after that. Story 3, Whiskey Dick. No matter what I did, I couldn't get it up. What makes it worse is she's one of my friend's closest friends. So every time I see her, I die a little hoping she forgot. I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Story 4. I got vomited on in the face during a cowgirl position. We were both very drunk, so we kept going. I took a shower, left, and we never talked about it again. Story 5. I'll be vague. I'm dating a girl. We're doing stuff in my car in an empty parking lot. She wants to try something she's never tried. I'm okay with it. She ends up vomiting. I see it and it makes me vomit. A big old vomiting fest to end the night. Edit. Vomiting did not occur in my car. She opened her door. I saw it and opened my door and began to vomit. Story 6. I met up with a girl via Tinder. We sort of knew each other and had talked a little. Anyways, the date is going well. We have good chemistry, and she is funny. We end the date and walk outside. I follow her until we are going to be separated by a crossroad. We start kissing, and she suddenly stops. But I have a boyfriend. Story 7. Definitely a night where I had a pretty girl wrapped around my finger, and I couldn't last. I met her at a bar with some friends, and we hit it off. One night, out of the blue, she texted me and asked to come hang out, so I obliged. I informed my roommates, cleaned myself up, and she came over a few hours later. We flirted a lot until I went in for a kiss, and she responded. We went right to my room. We flirted and talked a lot before getting things moving. As soon as I was inside, I was so turned on by how forward she was that I couldn't last. I tried pulling out a few times to gain momentum, but it never worked. After about an hour or so of talking afterward, she decided not to stay over and walked home in the rain. We see each other somewhat frequently now, and it's nice and cordial, but we've never gotten that close ever again. Story 8. I believe the exact quote she used was, "I really thought what you lacked in looks you would make up for in personality, but I guess not." That one still hits pretty hard and effectively killed my interest in trying to talk to women again. Edit. Thank you to everyone for the kind words. I know she doesn't speak for all women because there are a ton of amazing women out there, but it does make me very scared to return to dating until I put some more work into myself. Kind of like if a dog bites you, you know most dogs are sweet and amazing, but you're still scared. Story 9. For about a year, I was a two-pump chump out of nowhere. No matter what I did, I couldn't hold back my urge to orgasm. I was permanently locked in the vinegar strokes mode. Before this and eventually after, I had no problem lasting or holding back my orgasms. But when I entered a relationship with this new girl, it started. Our first time sleeping together, I only lasted 3 to 4 thrusts. The words out of my mouth were, "I swear that never happens." I was so embarrassed, and she was done. God bless her. She gave me 3 weeks of her life before she dumped me. We remained good friends, and I asked her why she broke up with me. It was because I came too fast. This went on for about 11 more months after her, whenever I slept with someone. Then, Randomly, as if the curse had been lifted, I was back to my normal self. To this day, I have no idea why I was so sensitive for that long and that randomly. My ex also gave me another shot at redeeming myself. Story 10. Mine happened just a few days ago. I matched with this girl on Tinder and went over to her place to hook up. To ease the nerves, she decided to smoke some weed, no biggie, except I've all but quit smoking. I decided to hit it once or twice before I hit it once or twice, haha, only to find out that 1, I don't have a tolerance and got super high, and 2, I could not get hard to save my life. She was a champ, though. Once we got started, I realized what was happening and told her. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Challenge accepted." Story 11. When I lost my virginity, I couldn't get it up for a long time. When I finally did, I probably finished in 4 thrusts. My girlfriend was pretty understanding, and it didn't take too long to start having good sex, so it's okay. Story 12. So I met up with a Tinder girl at a party in college during my sophomore year. We went back to her dorm room and things progressed. Based on her looks and hobbies, it absolutely caught me off guard when she turned out to be quite adventurous. The ultimately surprising part is when I was intimately involved with her, and she asked me to hit her in the face hard. I had to double-check that's what I heard. When I said I wasn't going to cross that line, she laid an arm on the bed. I was on top, and she was lying on her back, and just open hands slapped me. She proceeded to say, "You need to hit me at least that hard." I was shocked and embarrassed at the same time, but that story always makes me laugh whenever I tell it. A memorable start to my workday. For the record, I did not hit her, not trying to get into trouble. I never went back to meet up with her either. So here's what I knew about this Tinder girl before her adventurous side came out. She was pre-med with a high GPA, on the wealthier side, liked to read, was generally pretty busy, attractive, and very professional looking. She rarely went out to drink and never did any drugs. She only had 1 or 2 relationships overall, much fewer than I had. On the other hand, I'm very adaptable and had a lot of experience with women in general. I aimed to please and always performed well. We met at the party. I was decently drunk and she was mostly sober. She asked to go back and I agreed. Things started very normally. Making out, feeling up, undressing, and other standard activities. Pretty vanilla except for the fact that she was one loud girl during foreplay. Instantly, when she went down on me, I could tell she knew what she was doing. Great technique and the works. The first sign that caught me off guard was her trying to slip a finger in me. Immediately, I said that wasn't my style and she just accepted it. Around the same time, she started deep-throating. Not in the usual sense, but like going down and staying down for 20 to 30 seconds at a time. I just said whatever. I was enthusiastic, she was hitting all the right spots, and we just continued. A couple of normal positions went by. Suddenly, she grabbed this printer paper-sized box and told me to open it and pick one. This box had several different toys, but she specifically asked for a butt plug. I was like, okay, this is fine. I've done the old stick the thumb in there while being intimate thing. This is just easier for me. I inserted the plug and started going to town. This was when she started to get more vocal and aggressive. She wanted hard slaps, deep and strong hugs, hair pulling, the works. I was turned on and just continued. She pulled away, removed the plug, and used a lot of spit to prepare for anal intimacy. In my head, I was thinking she was adventurous, but I had done anal before and enjoyed it, so I just went for it. She was loving it without any hesitation. A bit of time went by, and she flipped over onto her back, and we continued. She was scratching my back and being loud. I'm sure everyone nearby could hear this. At this very moment, the following dialogue ensued. She said, "Hit me in the face while we're intimate." To which I immediately stopped and asked, "Hold on. What did you just say?" "Hit me in the face. Punch. Slap. Whatever you want. But I want it hard." "I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that." "Don't be a coward." "Yeah. I'm not going to hit you." "Fine." At that exact moment, I saw her hand was already on its way, and there's no way to dodge. This slap was a full swing, perfectly placed where her palm landed on my cheekbone and jawline area. Me, wow, what was that for? Hit me at least that hard. I'm not trying to hurt you. She had this pouty face at this point, and for some reason I was still enthusiastic. She just agreed to keep going. Nearing the end of the whole situation, we were still in a position, and she asked me to choke her. So, I took one hand to support part of my weight. She then grabbed my other hand and placed it on her throat. She then started to squeeze my hands on her throat to the point where, with my body weight, there's no way she could breathe. She stayed like this for the next 30 to 40 seconds as her face turned purple. I asked if she was sure about this since she couldn't breathe. She nodded, and I assumed she reached a peak. Then I pretty much reached mine at this time as well. She just lay there, looking almost lifeless. I cleaned myself off, got my things, and dressed to leave. I'm leaving. This was interesting, to say the least. Maybe next time you'll have a little more fun with me. Yeah, unlikely. And I proceeded to leave and never went back. To this day, it was the wildest one-on-one experience I've ever had, especially on the first day I met her. So, there you have it. It's nothing too crazy, but it has its moments where I can't help but crack up laughing along with most of the people I tell it to. Story 13. Me and this girl were making out on my couch. Everything was going great until she did this thing. Changed everything. We would be kissing, and she would blow a raspberry into my mouth unexpectedly, like what you do on children's stomachs to make them giggle. My mouth filled with hot air not from my own lungs, and I hated it more than anything. She giggled, and I just laughed it off nervously, saying, "Aha, nice." She wasn't done, though. Oh no, she wasn't. She did it 2 more times, each time annoying me a little more. Why? Why would you do this to me? What I should have done was say stop or that I don't like it. But what I actually did was inhale fully and blew that back into her mouth like the big bad wolf blowing down a little pig's home. What happened next changed me forever. The air had nowhere to escape. The amount of snot that escaped her nose shocked me. The second I felt that sinus oyster slap my upper lip, it was over. When I felt it slide down and touch my soft, sensitive lip skin, I threw up instantly. Some hit her, lots hit the couch, even more hit the blanket. It was a simultaneous puke scream, as I was so disgusted at everything happening. Upon seeing me throwing up and seeing her nasal mucus mixed with my own vomit on my face, making a long bridge of nasty face paste from my upper to lower lip, she decided now was the time. She threw up too. We went from making out to being snot and vomit covered and scream crying. I couldn't even look her in the eyes, and she just left straight away. Never seen her again, but that's okay. Story 14. My one and only actual hookup type experience happened when I was reeling after a breakup. I had just graduated college and entered the real world that year. I wasn't doing well at any level of my life, personal, private, career, and so on. I was incredibly lonely and upset that my ex was happily in a new relationship, while I couldn't get any attention from most women. I went on an online site and managed to find a date. To this day, I don't remember her name. She was not a great person. She legitimately said, "Having a designated driver is unnecessary." And in my troubled state, I thought, I just need to get laid. I don't need to connect with this woman. I proceeded to bring her home and have sex with her. The entire time I was thinking about my ex. I nearly called out the wrong name once or twice. It was not a great experience. We both finished and I wanted to cuddle. I am a devoted cuddler, and I had experienced almost no affectionate touch in the last 6 months since my previous relationship ended. She was not interested and looked at me like I was foolish for trying. I attempted to express how I was feeling in life, since I felt trapped and stifled ever since I'd gotten this awful job in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. She just sort of said, "Cool," and started checking her phone. Suddenly, I was just lying there naked next to this woman whose name I didn't even remember, who clearly didn't respect me, and whom I didn't respect either. I realized that I hadn't needed or really wanted consequence-free sex with a stranger. What I wanted was to feel a connection with someone because I was so lonely. I just felt empty inside, defeated, and more alone than I'd ever been. Epilogue. I got out of that funk, became better friends with my coworkers while I had that terrible job, eventually left that job, moved up to Chicago, and achieved a much healthier work-life balance, friendships, and relationships. Story 15. I have post-traumatic stress disorder and had a flashback while going down on a woman. It got so bad that I had to stop and run to her bathroom to throw up. Then I got back to her bed and just sobbed in her arms a bit before putting my clothes back on and calling an Uber home in defeat. I wanted the earth to swallow me. Story 16. An older woman in her early 50s, me at the time in my mid-20s, took me back to her place for a ride on the couch when, mid-activity, her friend walked in the front door with a couple of people in tow. Apparently, this is a thing, and it's totally cool and not weird at all. And don't mind us, you too. As a parade of strangers is brought through while I desperately try to find a pillow behind which to hide. Story 17. During my sophomore year of high school, I was at my friend's house with my girlfriend, about to become intimate. We went inside to proceed. While we were outside, I had participated in smoking a few joints, which typically isn't an issue. So we were engaged in our activity and I was on top. She said something to which I responded. Unfortunately, I found whatever I was saying extremely funny. I started laughing uncontrollably, the kind of laughter that won't stop and through which you can't speak. I was laughing so much that I had to stop and essentially just lay on top of her, cracking up. After about 10 minutes, she was no longer interested. Luckily, we had been dating for a few months, so we were able to try again shortly after. However, I had never laughed myself out of an intimate moment and the girl out of the mood, except for that one time.